I like Nintendo games. I don't like Nintendo as a company. I've said this for 6 years now. Nintendo constantly makes decisions that are actively just hurting the biggest fans of their property. It seems like they're just hell bent on ruining people's passion for their properties. They're just on this warpath against fun itself. It's like when SpongeBob had to teach Plankton what fun is, that's what the community constantly does for Nintendo, only for them to just shout bah humbug and then send you a cease and desist, or just outright slap you down, or if you're a YouTuber, issue you a strike. Oftentimes Nintendo is just evil for the sake of it. Like, I'm talking mustache twirlingly sinister. Like, the Nintendo Corporation is a villain that Mario would have seeked to slay in one of his games. Like, I remember a case like 4 years ago where Nintendo banned a handful of streamers for playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity early. Except they weren't playing it early. Nintendo just forgot that time zones exist, so they banned streamers who were playing the official release of Hyrule Warriors because they forgot. That's how out of touch and archaic Nintendo is, and how willing they are to just bend someone over and spank their cheeks raw, even when there's no real reason to do so. This is something Nintendo has done for years now with like Smash Brothers, which I've talked about endlessly, but they get up extra early in the morning just to hate. Like, they try and just ruin fun. Nintendo would send assassins to Santa Claus's workshop if they found out that one of the elves made an unlicensed Yoshi plushie. I know I'm getting a little lost in the sauce here, but I just get very passionate when I talk about how menacing Nintendo is for no reason. So the reason why I'm talking about them today is because they've just dealt a massive blow to emulation. Nintendo deserves more shit than a porta potty for this, and I really hope they get huge backlash for it, because I think this is just completely unacceptable. It started 2 days ago with a channel called Retro Game Corps announcing that they had received strikes for content that had a Nintendo game running on an emulator. The channel owner explains that they are considering a counterclaim under fair use as it was educational and transformative and had no effect on the market. It was a demonstration of a console no longer for sale. Even the Wii U eShop is closed, so the company itself has no means of earning revenue from Wii U sales. So this is one of the core components and what makes emulation so important. There are games that aren't being sold anymore and cannot be accessed outside of emulating them. It's fucking ridiculous. It is an incredibly important tool for preservation. But the only thing Nintendo's interested in preserving is that chip on their shoulder they have against any kind of internet content that shows their games. So they once again overstep and issue strikes for this, which is something Nintendo has done since the dawn of YouTube itself. There was a time period where you couldn't actually have a YouTube video that had a Nintendo game in it because Nintendo would have your account banned. They fucking hate it for some reason. They try and protect their copyright with an iron fist. And I know there's always people that have Nintendo's cock in their mouth trying to make arguments on their behalf, doing free PR for them, fighting their battles, saying things like, oh yeah, but people will download games that they don't have on emulators and that hurts Nintendo. Load of baloney. That's dirty barnacles, especially in cases like this. There is no one getting hurt by emulating games that are not accessible through official means. There is tons of games like that. Emulation is extraordinarily important, and Nintendo does everything it can to ruin it. And in doing so, they even try and ruin other people's lives in the process. That channel now has 2 strikes on their YouTube account, meaning that they're 1 strike away from having their account terminated, meaning a source of revenue, part of their livelihood, is on the cusp of being taken away at the hands of Nintendo. And no amount of groveling at Nintendo's feet ever appeases them. The only thing that appeases them is complete fucking destruction of fun and destruction of emulators. So the big thing that happened today is they just shut down Ryujinx. Ryujinx is one of the last main remaining Switch emulators, and it just got wiped out today. Like the dinosaurs with the fucking meteor, Nintendo came in and they put the kibosh on it. According to an official statement on Ryujinx Discord server, developer GDK Chan was contacted by Nintendo, offered an agreement to stop working on the project, and the agreement wasn't confirmed, but the organization has been entirely removed. So here's the Discord announcement about it, talking about how it's going to cease operations. And like I mentioned, this is one of the last remaining Switch emulators. This isn't the first time Nintendo's done this. They took down Yuzu not that long ago, which was the big boy on the block. That was the sheriff in town. Yuzu was the go-to Switch emulator until Nintendo put it in the crosshairs and they took it out behind the barn. Nintendo's motto is, "You'll have fun with our games the way we want you to. Any other way that you enjoy our products is not acceptable, it's not permissible, it's illegal, you're going to jail, Buster." Nintendo has a set way that they believe things should be done with their property. And we see it in Smash Brothers, where they don't believe it should be a competitive game, so they've never shown support for Smash Brothers and have even actively gone out of their ways to shut down tournaments over the years. And that's just a community of people that love their games, trying to put on events for their games, and Nintendo sometimes comes out there and says, nope, shut it down, pussy. Like, they go out of their way to ruin fun. They've been a little better about not destroying Smash tournaments recently, but historically, you've always just had a coin flip on whether or not Nintendo's going to show up and just say, that's enough, take this down. And it's that way for so many things. It's just so unnecessary, and it's always so heavy-handed. They always choose, like, scorched earth, like the most aggressive path they can take. Strikes on your channel, banning your stream for 48 hours, like shutting down your Twitch channel for 48 hours, which is fundamentally, like, to put that in perspective, Nintendo having that power is basically Nintendo showing up to your job and firing you for 48 hours. Like, that's how extreme it is. It's so stupid. It's silly. Well, it would be silly if it wasn't so destructive. And it's not like they're doing anything good. Like, they're not releasing an emulator of their own. Like, they take down these emulators, and then what? Then the games are just inaccessible. Some games you will never be able to play again now. There are some games that now just fade into memory. A myth, a legend, even, that can never be played again because Nintendo is destroying emulators. It's like, if they had a competing product, I'd understand. That'd be understandable. It'd make a little more sense, like, oh, okay, Nintendo views this as competition. They're kind of stepping on their toes. Like, they have an official emulator, and now there's a bunch of unofficial ones out there, so I guess I'd understand why they'd be reaching their tendrils out there to try and stop that. But they don't. They don't have an emulator. They don't have ways of playing games from the old Wii U shop or anything. They don't have ways of playing some of these games. The only option are these emulators, which now are no longer an option because Nintendo is burying them. They are such a litigious company, yet so lethargic when it comes to, like, delivering things that make sense. Their Nintendo Online service is still a fucking joke. That is still a dial-up service that you're paying for, basically. Every Nintendo Online game I've ever played, especially Smash Brothers Ultimate Online, is fucking sickening. Like, their games, like, they're fun. They're very fun games, but their hardware is outdated. Their hardware is archaic. A fucking calculator on your iPhone is probably more powerful than the entire Switch console. Like, Nintendo is so behind on the times, but they have such good first-party games from, like, some very creative people internally that make bangers, but it's all wrapped up in this company that is out of touch and downright greedy and evil. There is no reason Nintendo should be shutting down emulators. They are doing your work for you. They are creating more fans of Nintendo property than Nintendo is. What Nintendo should do is release an emulator of their own. What they should do is offer better services as opposed to shut down the better services. Like, they're shutting these emulators down without having anything of their own that is an improvement. They don't have anything. It's just dumb. I hate it. I actually hate it. So yeah, I wanted to rant about this a little bit. It's a classic, probably like 2 or 3 times a year, Nintendo rant where I just have to spit on that company. It sucks. I really am so upset with them because they make such good games. It would just be such a slam dunk, an easy layup for Nintendo to just finally turn a new leaf and start getting into the 21st century. Like, finally doing things that aren't just needlessly evil, that aren't just cease and desisting everyone and everything and shutting projects down, taking down fan projects. Like, it's just so unnecessary. So, yeah, RIP to Ryujinx. Hopefully that YouTuber doesn't lose his account to Nintendo. And big fuck you to Nintendo. That's about it. See ya.